River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan, here along with James. James, say hello.
What's up, Niner Nation?
It's felt like a year since we talked because so much has happened since our Dan Snyder episode. It has been absolutely wild and crazy. Training camp has started. There's so much to talk about with training camp. There's a whole situation with running backs that's been going on. There's so much to cover. We can only cover one topic in this episode, though, and we are going to start with the quarterback situation in San Francisco. Yes, we're going to talk about quarterbacks again, but I can't remember if we said it explicitly on mic before. We probably did, but just to re-emphasize, Brock Purdy, who had a significant elbow injury in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles, almost required Tommy John surgery. He got a cast, I believe that's what it was called, and his timetable was questionable to start the season if he was going to make it to the middle of the season. We didn't know what the timetable was, but it was a pretty long timetable. Not as bad as Tommy John's again, but here we are. And training camp started last week from when we're taping. We're taping on the 31st. So they've already gone through 1 week going into week 2 of training camp. And Brock Purdy was cleared medically to participate fully in football before the start of training camp last week. The limitations that are on him are team imposed and recommendations from his doctor. It's looking like he might be our week 1 starter after all, unless Kyle and John decide not to. Medically speaking, he can be our starter. So now we get to rethink this entire pecking order of our quarterback situation. Now, assuming Purdy is healthy for real this time, he's automatically going to be number 1. Kyle has said it. He's going to be the number 1. So now the real battle for number 2. Now it's a legitimate battle for number 2 more so than who's 1 and 2. Now it's who's 2 and 3 between former first-round pick Sam Darnold and also former first-round pick that we spent a lot of draft capital on, Trey Lance. And then just to spice things up a little bit, because you can't have too many quarterbacks when you're the 49ers, we also have Brandon Allen. I pulled up his little spec sheet here from Wikipedia just to share it with you all, just to refresh you on him. If you didn't know who Brandon Allen was, he was drafted in 2016 by the Jacksonville Jaguars out of Arkansas after he spent technically 5 years. He redshirted his freshman year. So 2011 to 15, he was in Arkansas, drafted by the Jags, spent 2 years with the Rams. 2019, he was with the Broncos. And then 2020 through last year, those 3 seasons, he was back up to Joe Burrow on the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, really, he's been kind of just a fringe backup. Definitely, like, not starter. He's only started in lieu of somebody being injured, like when Joe Burrow was injured. But he's just one of those fringe guys. He's just kind of, he's made rosters, but it's hard for him to stay on rosters. There was plenty of spots here where he was, oh, you are muted, sir.
Sorry. Break glass in case of emergency is Brandon Allen. That's basically he's going to be.
Yeah, he's been on practice squads and promoted off and on many times as I look through his Wikipedia article. But I mean, he's got experience and he's got the right build. He's 6'2", 209. Like, he's not a badly built quarterback. And if you look at his stats are whatever. Like, you could say Kirk Cousins has great stats. Like, he's got a 10-6 touchdown to interception ratio, 1,600 career passing yards, a 78 passer rating. Like, really, it's just the fact that he's never gotten to go on the field, let alone like if he actually survives a training camp and makes it onto the team. But no, I trust the thumbs up that Kyle Shanahan has given him, and I assume Brian Greasy's given him a thumbs up. So he's in the mix too. Like, let's just not forget that he's in the mix too. He's probably going to be the logic dictates that he's going to be sent to the practice squad. And yes, like you said, break in case of emergency. But I just wanted to fill you all in on him. Just take a little bit off the top here to fill you in that there is a 4th quarterback in competition here. But the real big dogs obviously are Brock Purdy, the incumbent starter. He's going to be the starter if he's healthy. So where does that leave us with Sam Darnold versus Trey Lance? Basically, is where we want to go for the rest of this.
Well, I just before we got on here, I was reading our Twitter feed, and basically a lot of people are saying that just today in camp, Trey Lance was the best quarterback on the field. Like that's the word coming
just
out.
in general.
Just in general, today Trey Lance was the best quarterback on the field. I've been listening to what he's been working in the offseason with a specific coach to change his mechanics and the
that's Patrick Mahomes' coach. He's been using Patrick Mahomes' coach.
And the soreness in his right arm is no longer there anymore. He says it's like a whole new arm almost as if that he has. So this is going to be interesting because, I've talked about Sam Darnold being a solid number 2, but this dynamic is going to really change if Trey jumps up to that second spot and Purdy goes out week 1 or week 2 and doesn't look all that great. We know what's going to happen. We know people are going to call for Lance if Purdy doesn't play. So this is interesting. And this.
But what about last week when everybody was saying Mike Florio and I don't think Mayako, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but they were saying that it looked like Sam Darnold, at least through the first week of camp, it looked like Sam Darnold was the number 2 and he was ahead of Lance.
Yeah. I mean, Sam Darnold should be number 2. I would think at this spot. I mean, that's just normally the way you have it. You have the guy who started last year. You have the second spot, which is usually a crafty veteran, which is what Sam Darnold is, and then you have Trey Lance at third. But Trey Lance could work himself into that second spot if he has a better camp than what Sam Darnold will have. Then Trey's going to get into the second spot, and I don't know. I don't know, Niners fans, how you're going to feel if Trey is in the second spot and the 49 and Brock Purdy goes out there and stinks it up for 2 or 3 games. What you're going to do? Like, is it going to be, well, he was injured and we, whatever, or is it going to be like, hey, let's give Trey a shot because hey, we spent 3 number 1 draft picks plus, to get him. Let's see what he can do. So this quarterback thing. I mean, yeah, it's a good situation. I've learned being a Philadelphia fan that having more than one quarterback is really a good situation. We saw last year the Niners needed 4 quarterbacks, so having this problem is okay. How are you going to deal with the fan base if Purdy goes 1-2 or 0 for 3? In the first 3 starts, with that bum elbow of his.
I think I'll put it this way. I think I'm not going to speak on behalf of just casual fans because I feel like I read enough on it that I'm more than a casual fan. I can understand a casual fan seeing that we spent so much on Trey Lance, and if he's not going out there for whatever reason, Purdy, in this hypothetical, Purdy has to get pulled off the field, and he's not going out there and Sam's going out there, people are going to lose their minds. Like, I can see casual fans being upset about that, but what I think is going to be the end result of this training camp, which should be the end result of this training camp, is that our best guy is going to be out there. I think that the way that Kyle maintains this culture in the locker room where we're just competitive with each other, but we're not like undermining each other. We want each other to all succeed and everything like that. I think there is that culture there. To borrow what Bruce Allen said, the culture is damn good. But for real, it's actually good in San Francisco. And I think we can play 2020 hindsight forever if Trey Lance ends up being the third string quarterback. But I think that it's not going to hurt anything in the locker room. And I think a fan needs to realize that if Sam is out there, it's because Brian Griese said that he needs to be out there. It's because Kyle believes that he needs to be out there and agrees with Brian. And Jed York is fairly hands-off. He's been fairly hands-off, except for when he said you're getting Jimmy G instead of Kirk Cousins. He's pretty hands-off, so he trusts these guys. John and Kyle have done so much that he has very graciously been fairly hands-off. And John's going to go with whatever Kyle says, like in terms of like controlling the roster, because that's how they split it up. Like what Kyle says about the players that are on the roster, John goes with. And then who John brings in, John is like, here you go. But the point I'm trying to say is that we should be excited regardless of which quarterback is going to go out there, because between Kyle and Brian alone, yeah, it's an awkward situation. It's just we have to wipe some egg off on our face, or wipe egg off of our face, if Trey Lance isn't actually the number 2 quarterback. But if it's going to be better for us to get to the Super Bowl, and all this crap that Sam has gone through was a trial to have him succeed with us, like Kyle said, I don't see why he can't be a Steve Young. I'm not saying he's Steve Young, but why can't he have a late career revival like Steve Young? He's got the tools. Why not? That's paraphrasing what he said, but he did say something in that spirit, that he believes that Sam has the potential to do that.
And I agree. Sam has the potential to do that, but
for the betterment of the team, Niners fans, I don't want you to be mad if Sam ends up getting out there, because Kyle and Brian are going to make him earn it. So if he's out there, that means he earned it. Do we not trust these guys after 6 years, and only the COVID year and the first 2 years before Jimmy was a full-time starter were bad? I mean, we made the Super Bowl and 3 NFC championships. I think they know what they're doing.
I mean, you're right. I do think that, yeah, they know what they're doing. But I think the fan base still, they've been itching for a Super Bowl for quite some time now, ever since Steve Young crushed the San Diego Chargers, and they haven't had one since. And
yeah, and we've lost two since, with Cap, and then with Jimmy overthrowing Emmanuel Sanders. Yeah, I understand. And just that we were so close 3 of the last 4 years. We were so close, losing the Super Bowl, the dropped interception away, the hurt quarterback away. It was always one little itty bitty thing that kept us from getting over that hump. So I understand the anxiety. Yeah. And I'm sorry I interrupted, but I understand where the anxiety is. But I want to remind everybody that it's a process, and let's not forget that so many other teams wish that they had the only other team that could talk about like consistency at the level that we've had for just these 6 years are the Steelers, who have yet to go under 500 with Mike Tomlin, or the Tom Brady Patriots, or it's hard for a team to maintain a consistency like we have. Again, 2020 was a weird year, and then 17 and 18 were our growing years where we were going to suck, but then see what happened afterwards. Outside of the random COVID year, we figure it out.
Yes, but I think I get the sentiment in this regards, because we've talked on the show how this is a quarterback-driven league, and you look at all the teams that are the favorites to win the Super Bowl. The 49ers are the only ones who have a real question at quarterback and do not have what people would say a generational quarterback, And I think that's the problem. Like, you go in there with Purdy, and if Purdy hasn't, because he's injured and he's not making the leap, he goes 3, maybe 4 games not looking so good, do you go with going with Sam or going with Trey? Like, I think the fan base in general is going to want Trey, because the assets were spent on Trey, and we still don't really know what we have in Trey, So
well, that's a fair criticism. We spent a lot of money on the guy. We would hope. Again, I personally just want the best guy out there. But no, the point that you're making is completely valid. We spent all this time and this money, and after this year, we're going to have to worry about his 5th-year option. Is he going to justify it? Are we going to what on earth could the trade market look like if we do want to move on from him, regardless of Sam? Like, unless Sam blows him out of the water, no matter what Sam does, if he's not the starter, what are we going to do with the 5th-year option? What are we going to do with the trade? Same with if Purdy plays the whole time and takes us to the Super Bowl or to another NFC championship. It really is an awkward situation, because we have all these finances tied into this guy that's probably not even going to be our starter, which is it's just funny how the NFL works sometimes. Because remember a year ago, we were prepping to take notes on how how Lance was going to be our starter for 2 series in each game during the preseason a year ago. And now we're talking about if he's going to be our second string or our third string quarterback. Like, he's not going to be the starter. That's the conversation we're having.
I know, which is crazy. It's just crazy. You spend 3 number 1 draft picks, and this is what ends up happening. But that's the craziness of the NFL. I mean, you look at the Eagles when they drafted Carson Wentz, and his second season looked to be amazing. And we, Eagles fans, me included, thought, oh my gosh, we're going to go to the NFC Championship game every year. We're going to win Super Bowls. We got our guy. And then all of a sudden he's injured, can't get back on the field. When he does get back on the field, he's one of the worst QBs ever. And it's like, where did all that go? And my heart sank. And so I know what that's like. And so 49ers fans, understand that really, if you're going to win in this league, you need a generational quarterback. You need a quarterback that, can pass from the pocket, and, Trey is mobile. But you need a quarterback. If you're going to depend on a defense to help you win a championship, I mean, you need to be better in the secondary, and you better not blitz. And, Steve Wilkes is a secondaries coach, but at the same time, he's a blitzer. He likes to blitz, and nowadays you're not supposed to blitz quarterbacks. So it'll be interesting to see. But you can't. I'm sorry, we cannot depend on this defense to take us to a championship and win a championship in spite of our quarterback play. It's such a bad way to build a team and expect a team to do. And sorry, we should be expecting that we have top level quarterback play from John Lynch, who went out there and got these quarterbacks, and Kyle Shanahan, who is supposed to be the quarterback guru, and so if none of the, one of these guys is going to have to look like a young Tom Brady if the 49ers want to win a Super Bowl this year.
I agree that is the nature of the league. Like, it's, if you don't have a guy that can step up and be the face, if he's not already been anointed the face, yeah, the championship is very, very difficult, if not impossible to get to. Like, bear with me one sec while I grab this. I was clearing out some of my dad's stuff, and you talking about defenses is not going to win you a championship. I can't help but laugh and look at this 2006 NFC Championship Bears hat from when they lost to the Super Bowl, or they lost in the Super Bowl to Peyton Manning. Because I looked up the box score just for fun, because I couldn't remember any of it, and other than it was a very, very literally sloppy game because it was a downpour in Miami. But yeah, I looked at that and the NFC Championship game where they did in the box score obliterate the Saints. But yeah, the defense won this hat. Didn't win them the Super Bowl, but the defense won this hat because Rex Grossman sure as hell didn't.
Well, do you remember that's the year that Dennis Green exploded on the media when the Cardinals lost to the Bears in a game where they were ahead by like 2 or 3 touchdowns, and the Bears came back and won and beat them without scoring an offensive touchdown. Like,
beautiful.
And Dennis Green just goes, they are who we thought they were,
Yes.
So,
that was where that speech came from?
Yes, that's where that speech comes from. So, yeah.
Oh, that's hysterical.
But even as good as that defense was, it wasn't good enough to win despite its quarterback. Like,
it's also hard to win when both teams fumbled the ball 3 times and lost all 3 fumbles.
True.
Just throwing that out there. Playing in downpour rain like that also makes it very hard.
But I mean, you look at what was it, the 2016 Broncos, right? Like that was a defense that won.
when Peyton Manning it was 15. But yeah, Manning played like crap that year. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was the last time we had a defense that won despite its quarterback. Yeah, it was Peyton Manning, but look how bad that passing offense was that year, and they won despite their quarterback play. Oh
Oh
crap!
no, is that an Amber Alert?
Yeah, it is an Amber Alert. Sorry, guys.
Oh no.
All right.
Oh, I'm not cutting that. That was really funny.
Amber Alert. Sorry, guys. I hope they find whoever it is. But yeah, like
I'm
I
not
said,
cutting that.
But like I said, like it's you to build a defense in spite of a quarterback is very, very tough. And all the pieces need to be in place specifically. And the 49ers in the passing game last year weren't that great. You go out there, you get a great defensive mind like Steve Wilkes, but you better hope he's not blitz happy like he was in Carolina. Because if he's blitz happy like he was in Carolina, it may get you somewhere, but it's not getting you to the Super Bowl. Guaranteed. It's not. That's not how you play defense in the NFL anymore. You know?
It's I mean, he plays the same. He plays this, even though it doesn't really. I heard a really fascinating argument about like how 4-3 versus 3-4. Like, really, that's not like it's not so cut and dry like that anymore in the NFL. Like, because there's so many different like hybrid styles of defense now. But in terms of that, for sake of argument, he ran the same thing that D'Amico Ryan and Robert Saleh does. We're 4-3. Like that's what we do, even though that hybrid element comes in where we have a lot of defensive backs. But no, that aside, yeah, I don't think we're gonna have that big a drop on our defensive side. But
I don't think you're gonna drop.
Yeah,
I just don't think you're gonna be all of a sudden better at pass defense.
Well,
I hope you are, but I just don't see.
We do have all four. Well, we have all four guys coming back. Gibson, Ward, Hufanga, and Lenore. All four of them are coming back, and they're all a year with more experience. And then in the nickel is either going to be Isaiah Oliver from the Falcons that we picked up, or it's going to be Jair Brown. I was getting him mixed up with that linebacker D Winters that we picked up in the draft. But
your defensive line is going to have to help those guys out, and it's going to the big free agent signing in Javon Hargrave is really what's there to boost up the defense because
hopefully Drake Jackson, presumed starter. Hopefully Drake Jackson earns that starting spot. And then, hopefully Javon Hargrave does for Armstead what Buckner did for him back in 2019 when both Buckner and Armstead had double-digit sacks each. And then now we have Bosa. We didn't have Bosa, no, that was Bosa's rookie year. Now we have a hopefully freshly paid Nick Bosa. I don't know. Our defensive line definitely has the ceiling. I'm not going to say we're going to have the best defensive line. Like, we don't know what Drake. We hope Drake gets better, and we hope Hargraves has the same production he had last year. I don't see a big drop off happening because Armstead and Bosa are on his left and right. I mean, you couldn't really ask for better partners if you're in that defensive tackle spot. And then you can get rotated out with Kinlaw, and hopefully that helps Kinlaw get better. So he doesn't have to assume that he's going to be the starter. He can actually be effective as a rotational guy. I mean, we're getting way off of quarterbacks, by the way.
Yeah. But I mean, my point is, like, to win despite your quarterback, you need an all-time great defense. We talked about this last year. As much as the 49ers are great at defense, I just don't see them necessarily being this all-time greatest defense to win despite their quarterback. So the 49ers are going to need really good quarterback play if they're going to win the Super Bowl. And
did Brock Purdy, because you'll remember it more vividly than I do, would you say Brock Purdy played better than Rex Grossman did?
I think he did. Yeah, he definitely did. Now in the playoffs,
Super Bowl, baby. That's all we needed in the episode.
I would say that his first 8 games. I mean, the game against the Cowboys, though, they won despite Purdy. I feel, I think the divisional round game against the Cowboys.
That was definitely the hardest game for him. I will agree with you there. That was definitely the most flustered, that was the most rookie he looked absolutely in all 9 of those games.
Yeah. And so yeah, I think really if they're going to be this Super Bowl team, they definitely need to get better quarterback play. Like we need at least Dak Prescott at least, and really if you look at some of the top contenders, the 49ers are really the only one going in there with somebody who, has not that much experience at quarterback, but yeah, they're one of the favorites because of their defense, but they're going to need better quarterback play.
We need somebody, whoever gets out there, they can't play worse than Purdy played. Like I said on the last time we talked about quarterbacks, you can't play worse than what Purdy did. Like at peak, not even at peak Purdy. Like as long as whoever's out there doesn't play worse than what Purdy played last year, hopefully better, but at least not worse than that. If Sam Darnold can prove that with our pretty good offensive line and with he has more weapons at his disposal this year than he had in any of his tenure with the Panthers or the Jets. Like if you took the best offensive weapon out of each of those previous 5 years, we still have more weapons on this roster right now. So there's no excuse for him to not come in with the experience that he has and mesh into the offense pretty well with not that big a learning curve. And then Trey, this is our 3rd year with Trey. If he can stay damn healthy, he should be making the seat warm for Purdy, like in theory. But Purdy's got the wins. He's got 2 playoff wins. That's more playoff wins than Dak Prescott. That's more playoff wins than maybe it ties Kirk Cousins. I can't remember. But he's got more playoff wins than a lot of quarterbacks that are out there right now. Yes, the defense helped, but I don't know. It will make this guy the face of the quarterback, obviously, if we win. Whoever ends up taking us to the Super Bowl, should we get there. But no, that is a fair point. I'm clearly not as worried as you are, but it is a very valid point that whoever ends up winning this competition, probably Purdy right now, but then however, I trust Gracie with however the way it lines up behind Purdy. Whoever is going to be leading us, they have to take on that mantle. They have to play like they are already up there with Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes and believe that they are a face of the league and then earn that. They have to play with that attitude going into it for sure. And they have to, it's asking a lot. We're hoping that Purdy doesn't have a sophomore slump. We're hoping that Trey doesn't get hurt again. We were hoping Sam never sees ghosts again. It's a lot to ask because it is a lot of pressure. There's so many pieces around here that, yeah, having quarterback being the biggest question mark kind of sucks. But at the same time, I think I've made a compelling argument that we have one of the best quarterback situations you could hope for if you're in a situation like this.
I mean, I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of teams that would like this quarterback room. I'm not going to say that. But I just, there's potential there. I'll say what you're living with is what you're hoping is that these guys live up to their potential.
Just one of these guys pays off. Purdy wasn't a fluke. Trey finally finds it, or Sam finally finds it, or Brandon finally finds it. 6 years into his career, good luck, but
yeah, but I mean, you're just hoping that one of these guys lives up to the potential that they have. So, yeah, I'm not saying that it's a bad quarterback room, but who's going to come out, who's going to emerge out of all this and take the 49ers to the Super Bowl and play quarterback that needs to be played for them to win a championship.
Right. It's exciting. Yeah, listeners, we are taping this at the start of week 2. So hopefully next week we have some pretty fun stories about who's sticking out after this week of actually fully padded practice. While you're listening to us, this is the first time that they will have full pads on. And I don't remember saying it at the top, but Purdy is on he'll pass 3 days, be off, pass 3 days, be off, something like that. He has a team imposed regiment, though. It's not medical. It's a team-imposed regiment because, yeah, you want to treat this guy like he's in bubble wrap. I don't blame him after he almost needed Tommy John surgery, and we wouldn't even be having this discussion. He would be on IR already if he did actually have Tommy John surgery. Like, just to emphasize how important it was that it wasn't that specific surgery. But anyway, I'm rambling. We're at our time. James, tell everybody where they can listen to us in between our episodes, or if they want to wait till next week, where can they reach out to us here in the meantime?
So, guys, if you want to reach out to us, you can follow us at Twitter, which is at NinerNuts. Also at NinerNuts on Facebook. We are also on TikTok now, and you may have seen some of our videos. And if you were following right before the show, I put out the drinking game for Niner Nuts. So if you want to play along and drink during our episodes, now you have a drinking game to maybe have a little bit more fun with us, and maybe one of these days we'll partake in it with you. However, if you just go to TikTok, Twitter, or Facebook, you can find us all there at Niner Nuts. You can get our merch at TeePublic. And if you leave a review for us anywhere, just write into us at 49ernuts@gmail.com. That's 49ernuts.com, 49ernuts@gmail.com. If you leave a review there, we will read every 5-star review on the air. Dan, anything else?
Yes, and I'm going to be using a little prop right here. Going to be using my little pop figure Bosa to try to speak to him. Bosa, please come back to the team. I really hope you get a great contract that you deserve. I hope John treats you fairly. So far, it's all been good. It's been very quiet. Nothing is leaked. They've been very, very professional and very, very quiet about it. But the fact that we're here on the 31st and there's no contract, I don't know. I say I'm praying to the football gods through this little Nick Bosa. Please come back. We really, really need you. Not that you're going to be out of shape being late to training camp. Just, we need you back, buddy. John, please, please, please pay this man every penny that he deserves.
And I'm just going to get a little Eagles dig on this one because Howie Roseman has never had a holdout at camp. So, but anyway, anything else in the news, Dan?
Nah, that's all I got. We just need Bosa back.
All right, outro music, River Road, Justin Muth.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.